Hey there, folks. Let's talk about the stock market. We've seen some red days recently, no doubt about it. The bears are growling and investors are understandably nervous. The million-dollar question on everyone's mind? Is the market oversold? Well, like a good stock, sometimes the market needs to take a breather. It's been a wild ride, and some corrections are natural. It's like a deep breath before a big plunge. You need that moment to gather yourself. Remember, every downturn has historically presented an opportunity for those who are prepared. But don't mistake my caution for pessimism. I'm still a believer in the long-term strength of the American economy, and I see potential even in these uncertain times. We've got to cut through the noise, look at the fundamentals, and remember that patience is a virtue. As they say, tough times don't last, tough people do. And tough markets? They bounce back, sometimes stronger than ever. So, how do we make sense of all this? Is it time to buy the dip or head for the hills? Right now, sentiment is undeniably cautious. We're seeing fear in the eyes of investors, and frankly, that's not always a bad thing. Remember, it's when others are fearful that true opportunities emerge. Just like in life, panic never helps in the market. What we need is clear-headed analysis and a healthy dose of perspective. The market is a marathon, not a sprint. You can't win by making impulsive decisions based on fleeting emotions. Faith, my friends, faith is what sees us through. Right now, there's a lot of talk about a potential recession. And while we can't ignore the headwinds, we also can't let fear dictate our every move. Remember, the market often anticipates economic shifts. So even if we do see a downturn, it might already be priced into the market. This is where patience and discipline come into play. But here's the thing, folks. The market is more than just numbers on a screen. It's driven by human beings, by their hopes, dreams, and yes, even their fears. And just like people, the market can surprise you. It can be irrational, unpredictable, and downright frustrating at times. That's why it's important to remember the bigger picture. We're not just investing in companies, we're investing in ideas, in innovation, in the future. And despite the challenges we face, I remain optimistic about the future. Just as faith can move mountains, so too can it guide us through turbulent financial waters. So, is the market ready to rally? That's the question we'll be diving deeper into. We'll analyze the sectors, explore the indicators, and discuss why resilience is key, both in the market and in life. Remember, even in the darkest of times, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. All right, let's talk tech. We all know the tech sector has taken a beating lately. Higher interest rates, inflation worries. It's been a tough environment for growth stocks. But you know what they say, what goes down must come up. And let me tell you, there are some flickering signs of life in the tech world. First off, the demand is there. People are still buying smartphones, using cloud services, and craving the latest gadgets. These companies are sitting on mountains of cash, and they're hungry for innovation. That's a powerful combination, folks. Now, I'm not saying it's all smooth sailing ahead. There are still headwinds, no doubt. But we're seeing some big players adapt, streamline, and refocus on profitability. That's what separates the contenders from the pretenders. Just like faith requires us to trust in something bigger than ourselves, investing in tech requires a belief in the power of human ingenuity. And let me tell you, these tech wizards are some of the most ingenious folks out there. They're problem solvers, innovators, and they're not going down without a fight. Section 2. Consumer Confidence, a tale of two wallets. Now, let's talk about the backbone of the economy, the consumer. We've seen some mixed signals on this front. On the one hand, inflation has been eating into people's wallets, making it tougher to afford everyday essentials. That's putting pressure on discretionary spending, and it's understandable why folks might be hesitant to splurge. But here's the thing, the job market remains strong. People are working, wages are rising, and that's putting money back into pockets. Plus, you can't underestimate the resilience of the American consumer. We've been through tough times before, and we've always bounced back. It's like that old saying, where there's a will, there's a way. People find a way to adapt, to adjust, and to keep moving forward. That's the spirit that built this country, and it's the spirit that will see us through these uncertain times. We need to look beyond the headlines and remember that the economy is a complex ecosystem. There will always be winners and losers, sectors that outperform and those that lag behind. But ultimately, it's the collective faith and resilience of the American people that will determine our economic destiny. All right, let's switch gears and talk about energy and industrials. These sectors have been on a tear lately, and for good reason. The demand for energy is only going up, and companies are stepping up to meet that demand. We're talking about oil and gas, sure, but also renewables like solar and wind. Now I know what you're thinking. What about the push for clean energy? Well, let me tell you, that transition is already happening, but it's going to take time. And we need all forms of energy to fuel the economy in the meantime. And don't forget about industrials. These are the companies that build the infrastructure of our world, from roads and bridges to factories and power plants. As the world continues to grow and develop, the demand for these essential services will only increase. Just like faith provides a solid foundation in uncertain times, these sectors provide a foundation for economic growth. They're the backbone of our modern world, and I believe they have a bright future ahead. Now, let's talk about market resilience. We all know the market can be a wild ride, full of ups and downs. It's like a roller coaster, folks, with exhilarating highs and stomach-churning lows. But here's the thing, the market has a remarkable ability to bounce back. It's weathered storms before, and it will weather them again. Think about it, we've seen crashes, recessions, wars, you name it. And yet, through it all, the market has always found a way to recover and reach new heights. Just like the human spirit, the market is incredibly resilient. It's this resilience that gives me hope, even in the face of uncertainty. Now, I'm not saying we should be reckless. We need to be smart, we need to be strategic, and we need to be prepared for volatility. But we also need to remember that fear is a lousy investor. When others are selling in a panic, that's often the time to be looking for opportunities. Just as faith requires us to trust in something beyond ourselves, navigating the market requires a certain degree of faith. Faith in the ingenuity of entrepreneurs, faith in the resilience of the economy, and faith in the enduring power of human progress. Section 2. Historical perspective. Learning from the past. One of the best ways to understand market resilience is to look at history. History, as they say, often repeats itself. And when it comes to the market, we've seen this time and time again. Every bear market, every downturn has eventually given way to a bull market, to a period of growth and prosperity. Think about the 2008 financial crisis. It was a scary time, no doubt about it. But guess what? The market came roaring back, stronger than ever. And those who kept their cool, who stuck to their long-term plans, were rewarded for their patience and their faith. The lesson here is clear. Don't let short-term fluctuations shake your long-term vision. It's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day noise of the market, but it's important to remember that this is a marathon, not a sprint. Just as faith teaches us to look beyond the immediate and trust in a greater plan, successful investing requires a similar perspective. We need to look beyond the headlines, beyond the fear and uncertainty, and focus on the fundamentals. And the fundamentals tell us that over the long term, the market tends to go up. Section 3. The power of patience. A steady hand at the helm. Now, I know what you're thinking. Easier said than done, right? It's one thing to talk about patience. It's another thing to actually practice it when your hard-earned money is on the line. But let me tell you folks, patience is not just a virtue. It's a necessity when it comes to investing. The market rewards those who can keep their cool, who can stick to their plans, and who can ride out the inevitable storms. Just like a ship's captain needs a steady hand at the helm during rough seas, so too do investors need to stay the course when the market gets choppy. Remember, investing is not about timing the market perfectly, it's about time in the market. The longer you stay invested, the more time you have for your investments to grow, to compound, and to generate wealth. Just as faith requires us to trust in the unseen, investing requires a degree of trust in the process. Trust that the market, while unpredictable in the short term, tends to reward those who are patient, disciplined, and who stay focused on the long game. Section 1. Finding calm amidst the storm. A spiritual anchor. You know, folks, in the midst of all this market frenzy, it's easy to get swept away by the fear and uncertainty. We see the headlines screaming about losses, we hear the analysts debating doom and gloom scenarios, and it's natural to feel a sense of panic rising. But it's precisely in these moments that we need to find our center, our spiritual anchor, to weather the storm. Just like a lighthouse guides ships through treacherous waters, our faith can guide us through turbulent financial times. It's about remembering that there's a bigger picture, a higher power, that we can turn to for strength and guidance. It's about finding that inner peace that surpasses all understanding, the peace that allows us to make rational decisions even when the world around us feels chaotic. Remember, fear is a liar, folks. It magnifies our doubts, distorts our perceptions, and leads us down a path of irrationality. But when we ground ourselves in faith, when we tap into that wellspring of inner strength, we can silence the voice of fear and make decisions from a place of clarity and wisdom. It's not about ignoring the realities of the market. It's about approaching them with a sense of calm and perspective that only faith can provide. It's about remembering that we are not alone in this journey, that there's a force greater than ourselves guiding our steps and watching over us. Section 2. The importance of perspective. Zooming out for clarity. Now, one of the biggest challenges in navigating the market, or any challenging situation for that matter, is maintaining perspective. It's easy to get bogged down in the day-to-day fluctuations, the short-term losses, and feel like the world is ending. But just like stepping back from a painting allows us to appreciate the full masterpiece, zooming out and looking at the market from a broader perspective can reveal a different story. Think about it. The market has been around for centuries, experiencing countless cycles of booms and busts, rallies and crashes. Yet, through it all, it has always trended upwards over the long term. Just like the ebb and flow of the tides, there's a natural rhythm to the market, a pattern of growth and contraction that has repeated itself time and time again. When we allow ourselves to get caught up in the short-term noise, we lose sight of this bigger picture. We make emotional decisions based on fear or greed, rather than rational decisions based on sound principles and historical context. But when we zoom out, when we remind ourselves of the market's long-term trajectory, we can approach our investments with greater patience and wisdom. Just as faith teaches us to trust in a plan greater than our own, understanding the cyclical nature of the market allows us to trust in its inherent ability to recover and grow over time. It's about having faith in the fundamentals, in the resilience of the economy, and in the enduring power of human ingenuity to overcome challenges and innovate its way to a brighter future. Section 3. Faith and Finance. Shared principles for success. You know, folks, it might seem unusual to talk about faith and finance in the same breath, but the truth is, there are some striking parallels between the principles that guide spiritual growth and those that lead to financial success. Both require discipline, patience, and an unwavering belief in something bigger than ourselves. Think about it. Just as faith requires us to trust in a higher power, successful investing requires us to trust in the market's ability to generate returns over the long term. It's about having faith in the process, even when the short-term results may not be immediately apparent. Both faith and finance also call for discipline and perseverance. Just as spiritual growth requires us to cultivate positive habits and resist temptations, building wealth requires us to save diligently, invest wisely, and stay the course even when faced with market volatility. And perhaps most importantly, both faith and finance teach us the importance of gratitude. When we approach our finances with a grateful heart, we're more likely to make sound decisions, avoid impulsive spending, and appreciate the abundance that we already have. And when we live our lives with gratitude, we open ourselves up to receiving even greater blessings, both material and spiritual. Section 1. Charting the course. Technical indicators and what they tell us. All right, folks, let's dive into the nitty-gritty, the technical indicators that can give us some clues about the market's direction. Now, I'm not talking about some magic formula or crystal ball here. Technical analysis is simply a way of looking at historical market data, charts, and patterns to try and identify potential trends and opportunities. One of the indicators I keep a close eye on is the moving average. Think of it like a trend line that smooths out the day-to-day fluctuations and gives us a clearer picture of the market's overall direction. When the market dips below its moving average, it might signal a potential buying opportunity for those who believe the trend will eventually reverse. Another indicator that's worth watching is the Relative Strength Index, or RSI. This one measures the strength of price movements and can help us identify whether a stock or the market as a whole is overbought or oversold. When the RSI dips into oversold territory, it suggests that the selling pressure might be overdone and a bounce could be on the horizon. Now, remember folks, technical indicators are just tools. They're not foolproof, and they should never be used in isolation. It's like using a map to navigate a journey. The map can guide you, but it can't predict every twist and turn along the way. You need to be prepared for the unexpected, and that's where faith comes in. Beyond the charts, the human element of market movement. Now, here's the thing about the market, folks. It's not just driven by numbers and algorithms. At its core, the market is driven by human beings, by our collective hopes, fears, and decisions. And just like people, the market can be unpredictable, irrational, and even downright emotional at times. That's why it's crucial to look beyond the charts and consider the human element of market movement. What are investors feeling? What are they expecting? What events are shaping their outlook? These are all intangible factors that can have a real impact on market sentiment and price action. Sometimes, the market reacts more to headlines and news flow than to actual economic data. A single tweet, a rumor, or a geopolitical event can send shockwaves through the market, causing wild swings in both directions. That's why it's so important to stay grounded, to avoid making knee-jerk reactions based on fear or speculation. Just as faith teaches us to look beyond the surface and see the inherent goodness in humanity, navigating the market requires a similar perspective. It's about understanding that market movements are often driven by a complex interplay of emotions, perceptions, and expectations. Steering through uncertainty, a faith-based approach to investing. So, how do we navigate this complex and often unpredictable world of finance? How do we make sound investment decisions when faced with so much uncertainty and volatility? Well, folks, that's where a faith-based approach can make all the difference. It's about anchoring ourselves in principles of integrity, discipline, and long-term thinking. It's about making decisions based on careful research, sound judgment, and a belief in the enduring power of human progress. Just as faith guides our moral compass, it can also guide our financial decisions, helping us stay the course even when the seas get rough. One of the key principles of a faith-based approach to investing is stewardship. It's about recognizing that the resources we have are gifts, and we have a responsibility to manage them wisely and ethically. This means investing in companies that align with our values, supporting businesses that are making a positive impact on the world, and avoiding investments that could harm others or the environment. Another important aspect is contentment. It's about finding joy in the journey, appreciating what we have, and not being consumed by the relentless pursuit of more. It's about recognizing that true wealth is not measured solely by our financial portfolio, but by the richness of our relationships, our contributions to the world, and our spiritual well-being. The enduring value of hope, navigating markets, and life with faith. So as we wrap up our look at the market, let's remember one thing: hope. Hope is what drives us, what keeps us going even when the chips are down. It's that unwavering belief that better days are ahead, that the sun will rise again, even after the darkest night. And let me tell you, folks, that same hope that sustains us in our personal lives can also guide us through the ups and downs of the market. Because just like life, the market is cyclical. There will be periods of growth and prosperity, and there will be times of correction and uncertainty. But through it all, hope remains a constant, a beacon guiding us towards a brighter future. Remember, folks, investing is not just about numbers on a screen. It's about believing in something bigger than ourselves, in the power of human ingenuity to overcome challenges and create a better world. It's about having faith in the long-term trajectory of progress, even when the short-term outlook seems bleak. Just as faith teaches us that even in the wilderness there is abundance, so too can we find opportunities for growth and prosperity even in the midst of market turmoil. It's about keeping our eyes fixed on the horizon, remembering that every downturn has historically been followed by an upswing. A final thought: planting seeds for a brighter future. So, as you navigate the markets, remember this: approach your investments with the same faith, discipline, and long-term vision that you bring to your personal life. Do your research, make informed decisions, and don't be afraid to seek guidance from those you trust. Just as a farmer sows seeds with the expectation of a future harvest, so too should we approach our investments with a mindset of long-term growth and abundance. And just as a gardener tends to their plants with care and patience, so too should we manage our finances with wisdom and discipline. Remember, true wealth is not measured solely by the size of our portfolios, but by the richness of our lives, the strength of our relationships, and the contributions we make to the world around us. Let's face the future with courage, knowing that even in the face of uncertainty, our faith, our resilience, and our unwavering belief in a brighter tomorrow will guide us towards a future filled with abundance and prosperity for all.